around the world where we have to work with China and North Korea is a great example where they have actually been helpful with us on numerous occasions. They're the world's second largest economy. They're an incredibly populous, large nation. And so while we have many differences of opinion right now as it relates to COVID-19, and we certainly have our frustrations, the hard work of diplomats are to find the spaces where we can work together. And so certainly there's going to be plenty of areas around the world where our interests converge. And where our interests do not converge, where they're different, we will certainly fight aggressively to stand up to the Chinese Communist Party. And that's, I think, the difference, Hadley, between this administration and previous, both Republican and Democrat administrations in the United States, is we're taking a very, very different approach. I think America has really woken up to the threat that the CCP poses to our allies and our interests and our friends.
And just following on to that, I mean, when I spoke to whether they be folks in governments or in Europe and elsewhere, or just frankly, people in the business community, they're willing to admit, okay, fine, we can't technically trust what the Chinese have said with regards to COVID-19. We do believe they lied, at least in the beginning. They should be held accountable. Some kind of inquiry, should actually happen. But at the same time, you can't get away from the fact that China basically fuels global growth. Can the West afford to be on the back foot with them when they hold such a significant amount of U.S. debt and, frankly, help the U.S. economy? It's a tough one.
I think that's an incredibly important point, Hadley, and that's why I talked about, that there's plenty of areas in which our countries, where our interests will converge. We looked just earlier this year, the beginning of this year, President Trump and Secretary Mnuchin were able to cement a phase one trade deal successfully, and we're of course hopeful that China's going to live up to its commitments in that phase one trade deal. Listen, we have a lot of businesses, plenty of businesses in the United States that do business in China, that trade, that have facilities there. These are all things that we're aware of, and business between the United States and China will continue to move forward. All we're asking for, all we want, is reciprocity and a level playing field. And when we especially look at COVID-19, for example, you brought that up, what we need is, China says they want to be a partner, that they believe in transparency. Well, so do we. So let credible scientists, doesn't even have to be Americans, but let credible scientists and doctors and investigators into these labs in Wuhan, let them see the data. The Chinese government says that this virus came from a wet market. That's great. Let us see the underlying data to prove that, so that we can prevent these pandemics from ever happening again.